Hello and welcome to another Solana tutorial. Today we're gonna talk about Anchor in version 2. But Andy, they haven't even released Anchor in version 1 yet. Why do you talk about version 2? Well, version 1 seems to be an improvement of the current Anchor, which, makes the program a little smaller and a little more efficient and adds a few new features. But I think with Anchor version 2, they're really trying to rebuild it from the ground up for it to be way more efficient, such that it can compete with Quasar and Pinocchio. In fact, it is using Pinocchio under the hood. So maybe Anchor in version 2 is just a neat combination of the convenience of Anchor and the efficiency of Pinocchio, which would be great. So today, I want to have a look at Anchor v2, how we can run it, what we need to do in order to create an Anchor v2 program and deploy it. I want to see what changed compared to Anchor in version 1. And then I want to see if it's really that much more efficient in terms of binary size and CU usage. So that's my goals for today. Let's see how we can do this. I saw a tweet about this here. So we're currently in pre-release. Version 2 is over 90% smaller and 6x faster than v1. From a dense macro-based framework to a more easily extendable trade system, with security built in from day one. So yeah, maybe I have some feedback for this. We will see. I don't know what this is, but it seems efficient. They're coding in assembly or whatever that is. Yeah, ASM. That's the assembly way to do the entry point. Great. Check it out here. Anchorlang v2. There we go. Compatibility is a priority. So it seems like it should be fairly simple to move from an Anchor v1 to an Anchor v2 program by renaming a few things. However, maybe I give you the disclaimer right now already. I don't think v2 is production ready yet. I would recommend that you have a look at it, that you try it out, but for a production application, I would still wait for an official release and for this stuff to be audited before you rewrite your production application to v2. But anyway, we see instead of Solana Program Crate, we now use Pinocchio. And I did talk about Pinocchio, I have videos on that. We don't require the standard library. In fact, we want no standard. We don't need the info lifetime everywhere because Pinocchio's account model is statically scoped. I sound like I'm smart if I say that. I'm just reading. I have no idea what that actually means. Statically scoped, they don't have the dynamic lifetime. That's why it's static, right? And we will use mutable constraints. I don't know about that. We'll see. And that's an important one as well. We finally in v2 use address instead of pubkey. v1 is still using pubkey. Okay, yeah. But in v2, we finally use address, the proper name. Also that. I made a video about that whole story. And the regular account becomes a Borscht account. So maybe there's another type of account that is not a Borscht account that is more efficient in deserializing data. Okay. Built for extensibility. It's much easier to maintain and audit. And it lets you write your own Anchor extensions. Great. Extensibility. Maybe we're gonna talk about that in a different video. For now, let's try and understand what Anchor v2 actually changes before we extend it. Most importantly, v2 is secure by default. So that's the main advantage over Pinocchio. It comes with all the security checks that you used from Anchor. Fuzzing, static analysis, and formal verification are built in. Cool. Oh yeah, and there we have the warning. It's an alpha. It's not audited. It's not even on Crates.io yet. And those APIs might break. So they might still change it. Depend via Git on the Anchor Next branch. So Anchor Next seems to be the v2 version. Anchor Next, ASM v2. v2 in progress. Anchorlang v2 is the next generation runtime. Built on Pinocchio. And no standard by default. It produces an order of magnitude smaller binaries and fewer CUs per instruction than v1. Yeah, that's why we want that. The v1 in language remains the stable published path. Okay, so that's all in v1 now. Or maybe they did release version 1 already officially. I might have missed that. Okay, there we have v2, tests v2, SPL v2, ASM v2. All the v2 stuff is in this Anchor Next branch. Okay, good. How do I work with this? Getting started. I cargo install Solana Anchor from this Anchor Next branch. that will overwrite my anchor binary path, including the one from AVM. To keep v1, run the debug binary directly from source checkout. Do I want to keep my anchor in v1? Probably I want to keep my anchor in v1. Or I kill it and reinstall it. Nah, I'm gonna get it from source. It's a safer way. I don't want to kill my anchor. So I'm gonna clone and check out anchor next. Let's go. Switch to new branch. No, new branch? That's not what I wanted. Is that what I wanted? Yeah, I have the lang v2, SPL v2, ASM v2. Okay, it seems to be new local branch anchor next that is tracking the origin anchor next. Okay, that makes sense. And then I cargo install. Wait, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to install, but I will just build. And that is gonna take a while. But then we have anchor SPL in version 2. Look at that. And anchor CLI in version 2. And then it was building the anchor binary. Okay, let's see. We should have the anchor binary here and AVM as well. But if I do target debug anchor, look, that's the anchor CLI in version 2. That should have all the things that anchor usually does, but in version 2. Nice. And my regular anchor stays in version 0.32. Actually, AVM, if I update with my current AVM, then it will probably update to anchor in version 1. Now using anchor version 1. There we go. Now I have version 1 and 2 available. And I could globally install v2, but then I overwrite my v1. I don't think I want to do that, because as I said, it's not audited, it's not stable yet. Okay, this is where my anchor lives in version 2. What if I say init? What does no install mean? Let's see. Anchor init. We need a workspace name. I can use JavaScript instead of TypeScript. Nah, I don't install JavaScript dependencies. Okay, commitment override. Don't initialize Git. We can use a template. Either single with a single librs or multiple with multiple files, like we saw when we talked about anchor v1. The default is multiple, which if you're writing a bigger program, that's what I recommend. And there are test templates to use. Supports a bunch of test frameworks. The default is light SVM. Initialize even if there are files. Install agent skills. Interesting. Okay, let's do the all defaults and say my first anchor v2 program, which is a very conveniently small name not. There we go. I do install the npm packages. Okay, let's go there and see what we have. In my first anchor v2 program, you know, the usual, we have a program. This looks very anchored. If I would look at it like this, I don't see the difference to anchor in version 0 or version 1. So we have an initialize instruction. Also that we derive accounts. This is very similar to what I'm used to, if not the exact same. However, account what it actually is changed, because that is not a Borscht account anymore. It's a slab. Header only is a CSC that doesn't implement pod, so tail only methods. Interesting. So with header only, we can't access things anywhere, like with plain old data. By the way, if you don't know what that is, watch the video I did on alignment that we talked about those pod types. Okay, we don't need to understand everything here. That's fine. So basically here we initialize a counter account. The state of the counter account looks like this. It has a count and an authority, and there is no way to increase the counter. We have tests for that as well. The binary does not exist yet, the SO file, because I didn't build it yet. But okay, so then let's build it. Anchor, build. Let's see if that works. So shall we get this SO file? Look, Pinocchio! It's using Pinocchio! Great, seems like that was successful. Here in between you saw finalize the release build, my first Anchor v2 program with Anchor lang v2 using Pinocchio. Nice. Also the IDL build. So if I now refresh this, here we go, then it also finds that. So my tests should also work. This is using light SVM, so we're not deploying anything. We're really just local testing here, and we're just testing that this counter, the initialize function, actually does what it's supposed to do, namely that the count is 0 and the authority is my payer. So I could run anchor test. What is it building now? Anchor v2 testing. There we go. It needed to build light SVM and anchor v2 testing, and then it's running my tests, and the one test comes back with okay. Wonderful. To demonstrate that really works, I can have a wrong way of initializing the account. And then I say anchor test again. It rebuilds my program, runs the test, and it failed because it's 1 when it's supposed to be 0. There we go. So revert that back to 0, then my test will pass. Okay, cool. So far, that's the same as anchor v1 does. So what am I excited about here? Nothing. But let's have a look at this nice binary file that we find here. This SO file, look at this. It has 6.9 kilobytes. 6.9. Oh, I'm peaking. I'm too excited. I'm sorry, I got a bit too excited here. 6.9, which is significantly smaller than what you're used to from an anchor program. But also this program doesn't really do much, right? It's just an initialize function. It doesn't even have an increment. So either we go through the exercise of writing an increment for our counter. Should we do that? Just do we write some anchor? Because I don't think that it's going to be any different than what we're used to from anchor v1. So what do we want? We want another instruction called increment that will use increment context and the increment handler, which doesn't exist yet. We got to build it. Increment accounts and an increment handler that takes the increment context. And then in instructions, I also need to use this increment. Oh, here, there it is. That's what I need. And then, there we go. Now it's being imported. And then all it will do is it will add the counter incremented. And what we should also do is make sure that this thing, first of all, the pair doesn't need to be mutable for us. If it's the fee pair, it needs to be, but not for us. But here I need the constraint with has one, what was it called in the state? Authority. And then I will call this authority. Then that should work. Oh, has one is not a thing anymore. Deprecated function. Has one is deprecated. Now use address. Oh, this is so much nicer. Address is owner.field. That makes it way clearer as well. Because has one, I mean, I had to get used to it, but like it's not intuitive. The address equals owner.field. Okay, so basically the address of the counter, no. So are you saying that I need to put this on the authority now? Something like counter authority. So the authority address must be the address that is stored in the counter authority. So now we're checking for this account that it has an address that corresponds to here, which I guess makes more sense. But then if I want this to be the authority of several accounts, I would need to do more of that and also be like address also equals another thing. I'm not sure. Let's try it like this. But the counter still needs to be mutable because we change it. And I guess that's the whole thing. Let's write a quick test for this. Test increment. Oh, I already saw something interesting. It has the initialize and the initialize resolved. I read about this. The resolved already does some stuff automatically. Let's have a look. Hold on. Let's check already here. If I would do resolved, look, then I wouldn't need the system program because that it knows by itself. And if I had PDAs where the seeds are known, then with resolved, that would also auto derive them, and that would make it much easier and I don't need to do it myself. That's cool. But anyway, I wanted the increment function, and for that to work I need to first, hold on, I said anchor build. I probably shouldn't build it with this anchor. Wait, I should be using the correct CLI to build this. Not sure if it makes a difference. Anchor lang core and the current CLI don't match. Hold on. Oh, that's for PNPM. That's for TypeScript. The TypeScript package doesn't match. What's in the cargo toml? Here I have anchor lang v2 from this branch. Okay, so this, I'm getting the right thing. So even if I build with anchor CLI version 1, it's still building in anchor version 2. And now I use the correct CLI and it tells me that my node packages are not in the right. Whatever. When am I using this? I'm not even using node yet. I have no front-end parts and my tests are also Rust. So yeah, never mind. Anyway, now that I built this, I should, oh, this is just testing initialize. I should make another file for that. Test increment. So for that, I first do an initialize. So I basically run the same thing. And now here we should have increment and increment, which doesn't take a pair but the authority. And increment resolved would again not need the system program. Wait, why do I need the system program for increment anyway? Because I have it here. Well, I don't need this. Please rebuild. There we go. Now we don't need this. Perfect. So then we put this increment instruction here, build a version transaction from it, send that transaction, and then I get the counter account, and this time I just check that the value is 1. Let's see. Anchor, test, failed. Test increment failed, panicked at unwrap. Why? Why do you panic here? Oh, probably because you don't want to sign as this counter account anymore. That's why. Yeah, there we go. Because I'm not creating the account, system program doesn't need the signature. I don't need to have it as signer, so I don't need to provide it as a key pair here. Good. But now my tests are passing. Yoo-hoo. Look at this. All tests passed. Test result okay. Great. And just double checking if I expected 2. If I have 2 here, then obviously that should not work. There we go. We're expecting 1. It's 2. No, other way around. We have 1. We're expecting 2. Anyway, nice. That's the boring stuff though. Let's also quickly check the thing with the authority. And if we had a new key pair, not authority, in authority, not the authority. How do you call that? Invalid authority. If I were to put the invalid authority here, and I would also sign with the invalid authority, then we would expect result is error. Something like that. There we go. That gives me okay, telling me that we're getting an error here. I should have 2 separate tests for this, but I'm lazy. But it seems like this stuff works, and our binary now has 8.2 kilobytes, which is still not a lot. And I could deploy this now and test it to see how much CU it takes. Yeah, let's quickly do that. Why not? Because with this anchor, we shouldn't need too much. I'm still gonna create myself a different key. I don't even need 5 sol. 1 sol should actually be enough. And then we anchor deploy. Oh, hold on. Let's do definite. The best program. And we're writing metadata. So we also should have the IDL. Let's see. There we go. It's our program account. Do we have the IDL? Nah, not yet. So what's the most efficient way to testing this now? Using Kodama. But wait, let's see. I had 1 sol. And now I still have 0.93. So it cost me less than 0.1 sol to deploy an anchor program. Usually that costs me 1.5 sol for an empty program. So that's already a huge improvement, given that the functionality, all the checks should still be present. I mean, I didn't fully check all of that, but like all the anchor stuff, all the accounts are checked, the signers are checked. So like, that's good. That's very good. Now I want to run an instruction on this. I guess I gotta use Kodama. There isn't anything within Anchor, right? That will generate the TypeScript stuff like Kodama would do. What do I have AI for? Yes, read my program. Yes, please read my key as well. Don't feed your keys to the AIs if you're using it in production. It found the JSON, it found the IDL. So we npm add Kodama and nodes from Anchor. Sure, why not? There we go. That seemed to have worked. Now we make a directory scripts and generate it. Yeah, go ahead. There we go, scripts. And then it's generating this script. Yeah. Write that, sure, let's go. And then we TS node this script. So basically the script it just wrote here that takes this IDL, parses it, creates it, and renders the JavaScript visitor such that it's getting generated in app source generated. Yeah, sure, let's go, run it. Exit code 1, that didn't work. Sure. I'm trusting the AI too much, do I? Oh god. This is getting sketchy. Console log. I think it's failing to do something here. Oh, from Anchor. Now it's rewriting that script. That's fun, sure. MJS. Now we have an MJS script. And then we run this MJS script. The generation succeeded. Look, it even made that, it even adds a generate into my package JSON, such that I can just say npm generate or whatever. Celebrating. That's not what it says. There we go. Successfully generated TypeScript code. AI, man, it's so easy, right? We don't need to do anything. I mean, again, you gotta know what you use it for. The boring stuff. if you don't want to generate the Kodama stuff yourself and mess around with TypeScript. But now we remove this again. We say thank you, Claude, and we check if, yeah, in source generated. So we have apps source generated, The exact same error I had before when I did this with Gemini in the AI video. You can also watch that here. I had the same thing, source generated. But anyway, we have those things here now, the generated stuff, which is great. Because here we have the get initialize instruction. Oh, my AI is making me so lazy. Should I now? Yeah, I'm so lazy. It's crazy. There we go. I'm gonna also be lazy and let AI write that for me, because why would anybody program themselves anymore, right? Like, I mean, it found my key pair. Now it has everything it needs. There we go. And here we have it, a send transaction TS. Yeah, please write me a send transaction TS. Where did you write that to now? In the app, there's a send transaction TS. Before running it, you need to install the kit. Okay, I can do that. Here, install the kit. Done. And now we can run. I can take it from here. I mean, there are no errors in this script whatsoever. Wait, what's that? Damn it, there are errors in this script. Signature is get signature from transaction. Nice try, Claude. Nice try. No, you need to actually sign. Ugh. Am I quicker fixing that myself, or am I quicker telling Claude about it? But the rest seems good. We set a fee pair, we set a block hash, we put those two instructions in there, which we get from the generated code. Yep. Generated source, generated instruction. At least it found it again where it put it. Yeah, I mean, it all looks pretty good. And the counter is it generates a new key pair. Perfect. But the signature, it actually needs to sign. Hey, Claude, I actually need to sign the transaction, not just get signature. I know how to fix it, but I'm checking if I'm faster letting Claude fix it. Am I promoting vibe coding here? Yeah. But again, I only do this because I know how it's done without vibe coding, he says. But really, the more you vibe code, the more you forget how to actually code yourself. I mean, there's a whole, I don't even want to get into it. But this video is about Anchor and not about the kit. So I just vibe code those parts. I'm okay with that. I think I'm faster doing it myself, actually, though. I'm still peaking again. Wait a second. I hope I wasn't peaking too much. So it adds a signed transaction with message signers. It puts that already in here, and then that's the message. I wouldn't do it like that, because then it's not the transaction message anymore, then it's already, but okay, whatever. As long as it works, make it work. Get a clean, fully signed transaction. But it's not a clean, fully signed transaction. Look at what this is. Also, hold on. Send and confirm. What does that come from? Oh, from the send and confirm transaction factory. You don't call it send and confirm transaction. Okay, sure. Lifetime constraint is incompatible. What you're missing is an assert is transaction with block hash lifetime. Then we don't get that error here anymore. You know what? No, I'll just run it and I'll see if it works. Nope, you don't like it. Ooh. Wait, what are you trying to do? That's what you want to do? But hey, look, it understands that it needs to assert its transaction with block hash lifetime, as I just said earlier. It's doing that up here though. And this is still the wrong part where you do this. So at some point I think I'm gonna take over, because you still have the wrong type here. This didn't fix anything. Okay, I'm gonna take over here, Claude. I got this. Let me fix that for you. So first of all, this should be done on that thing. And this thing, wait, so you were correct? That needs to go here? It still has the lifetime issue here. Why is that? Oh, hold on. I'm asserting a message. No, not message. Assert is transaction with block hash lifetime, not message. Assert the transaction has a block hash lifetime. There we go. That's the right thing. Knew it. Okay, so that should fix it. You're welcome. Or at least fix that. Cannot find module, program client core. Okay, PMI that. And it probably has a few more things that it needs. This and the kit. Try again. Look at that. Nice. A little bit of vibe coding, a little bit of proper coding. And we can send the transaction. That's the payer. That's the counter. CCU, I love this. Great counter name. And we are confirmed. Boom. Check this transaction, yo. Look, we're creating a counter. We're calling our bestie program. This is the initialize function. It's creating the account, and then it does the increment, instruction increment. And all of that just takes 1900 CUs, which is still a lot. But okay, we're doing a lot of checks. I don't know how that compares to Anchor V1. I mean, the binary certainly is smaller, but I don't know if I had that as a Anchor version 1 program, how much bigger it would actually be. Also, in my program, we are doing some logging. What if I wouldn't do this? Let's just see how much difference that would make. Anchor build and deploy. Look how quickly this deploys. This is crazy. It's just a few transactions because it's just so small. And then we run it again. New counter. And now, yeah, now it's 1,800. So the logging wasn't so bad. But I mean, it's certainly not nothing. But even the no-op program did something like that. So I think it is an improvement. And it's mainly the initialize that has so many CUs, because the increment is actually at 200 compute units. That's decent, and that's what I would expect, right? Something in the order of magnitude of this. I don't know, because the system program also just takes 150. I don't know why the initialize takes so much. What else is this doing that has so much compute usage? I don't know. But yeah, for the increment, that's certainly a good, very good usage of compute unit. Should we compare that to Anchor v1? Oh, before we do that, actually, the counter, we can also check that, 48 bytes. And usually I would go ahead and type Solana account for this on DevNet. And we would see, yeah, that's the discriminator, that's the counter, that's the authority. But somebody who also watches my videos built this. Can I select DevNet? Okay. You put in an address, and then you can visualize that as well. And for that account, we don't have any info. We still need to guess where is what. But for other accounts, like a USDC mint, it will tell you what are the parts. This is the authority. This is the supply. That's the decimals and so on. That's quite cool. I like when people watch my videos and get inspired to build stuff. That's why I'm shouting this out. So great job, Jose. Is that how you pronounce it? Jose? Anyway, cool. Let's say we're almost done. I still want to compare it to Anchor v1. So either I'm going to migrate one of my programs that I already have to Anchor v2, which is what you usually do, or we gotta do a weird thing and we migrate an Anchor v2 program back to v1 just so we have the same program. But it shouldn't be like, I'm not using address or the Solana SDK anywhere really anyway. I just have anchorlang v2 here. I guess that's all I need to change. And the rest should pretty much stay the same. I could also individually copy over all the things. But let's see how easy it is. Oh, once anchorlang is published to crates, I swap to anchorlang v2. Nice. So they are gonna use it in a different crate with v2 such that it doesn't get confused with Anchor v1 like they had in the beginning with Web3.js and Web3.js v2, and then Web3.js v2 got rebranded to the kit. Maybe anchorlang v2 will also get rebranded to something else. Who knows? But they're gonna probably use it as two different things. Or they're gonna phase out Anchor v1, but I don't think that that's gonna happen. Anyhow, we're gonna phase out Anchor v2 and instead gonna just add anchorlang in version 1, which is gonna break a bunch of things. I think the safer way would be to create a new program, but we'll see. We'll see how difficult it's gonna be. Because here, this should now all just not work. Yeah, there you go. Great. And suddenly it's all red. Okay, because we don't have this. Instead, we use anchorlang, this stuff, not this stuff. There you go. Fixes it, almost. Except for more than one fallback function found. What? Are you expecting some discriminators here or something? Here, we will need to use pub key instead of address. That's one of the changes. Oh, and that's another thing here. Again, we're working backwards. If you upgrade from Anchor v1 to Anchor v2, then you need to remove those. Now we need to add those because v1 needs that. Same thing here. It's a bit annoying. I don't like that anyway. That's just writing exercises like this. And then space must be provided within it. Oh, it can't derive from the... we didn't even say init space. Interesting. So those are all things that you only realize we don't need that anymore in Anchor v2 once you downgrade to Anchor v1. Wow. This stuff stays all the same. Stays the same. So init needs the pair and the space. I tell you it's 48. Just gonna hard code this. And then authority pair address. No, this was key in Anchor v1. Pub key cannot be dereferenced. Well, then you gotta copy it, which takes more compute units. Sure. Yeah, cool. So you think we are ready to run this already? Here we still have an issue with this. More than one fallback function found. What does the AI say? Oh, we saw that. We saw that as one of the things when we migrate. From this, we now say mute. But where does that happen? Oh, the mute context. I see. So you're saying if I remove this, okay, and then I probably also need to change that here in the handler. There we go. Thanks, Claude. There we go. So I don't know why we now need the mute reference. Oh, because we have a mutable reference instead of something that we copy. I don't actually know why that is, but in handlers, now I understand where that is. In the context, we use the exit hook to manipulate state. In any case, Anchor v1 doesn't need that mutable reference. Now we have mutable references. Okay, with that change as well. So we saw all the things. We saw the mutable reference. We saw pub key becomes address. We saw that we remove those info lifetimes here if we go to v2. And then, yep, nice. Now my v1 version builds. And let's see my generated SO file. Look at that. That's 138 kilobytes, which is ridiculously much more than the 8 kilobytes that I had in Anchor v2. And if I deploy this, I will not have enough space in that. Oh, I don't even have enough lamperts. Oh, great. One sol just isn't enough. Damn you. Should have gotten more from the beginning. Okay, try again. Yeah, 141 transactions. It's bigger. Account not large enough. As I said, I expected that would happen. Because obviously we had a ridiculously small program, this one. It's like, how many bytes did we? Yeah, 8 kilobytes in that account. Now we need to extend this one, or I deploy to a different address such that we can do the direct comparison. So let's do a v1 program. So let's use this as my program ID. And for that to work, I also need to put that in here and anchor build one more time. And then I can anchor deploy to that address. There we go. Okay, that should be the same program now, but in version 1, which means that the program data account is going to be much bigger. Look, this one cost me an entire sol to deploy this. Again, still better than the Anchor v0 programs that cost me 1.5 sol. It got more efficient, but it's still big. But anyway, functionality should be the same. Let's run our send transaction script. Where does it get the program from? Oh, that's already embedded in here. Damn it. Do you think if I change that here, it's going to be enough? Yes. Okay. So I just swap out that program ID here and the rest should be the same. And then I send transaction. There we go. Transaction confirmed. Let's see. We're once again creating that account that we can once again check out here, visualize here. Again, we have the same account discriminator, same authority, and the counter again is 1. But the main difference is if we scroll down and we create the account, we increment by 1. But this one took 6k compute units. Okay, so it is indeed factor 6, almost. Both instructions take way more compute units. Even the increment takes 2k. The increment instruction alone needs more compute units than both the initialize and increment if we use Anchor v2. So that's just a massive difference to what we had here with v2, which proves to me that Anchor v2 is a good thing. It's not yet officially released. It's not been audited, but it will come. Boom. So I'm excited for Anchor v2. I just love efficiency. And that will do 0 copy per default, and it will be much smaller binaries and much more CU efficient. And to us as devs, it almost doesn't change anything. In fact, some things are being made less complicated, less confusing, less arbitrary. So I enjoy Anchor version 2. Yeah, can we have that, please? Can you audit it and release it, please? I'm excited about this. Should be good. Once again, the warning, it's not yet officially released. It's not been audited. Don't deploy your production apps with Anchor v2 yet, but I do encourage you to try it out and give feedback if you find some stuff that is buggy or you don't like. Now is still the time where we can shape the future of what Anchor v2 looks like. That's why I wanted to make a video about this early on. As soon as there's something workable there, want to have that video, want to tell you about it, you can try it out. And I hope that you like Anchor 2.0 as much as I do. Give this video a like if you do, subscribe if you haven't already. Here's some more videos that you can watch. That previous one was when I looked at Anchor v1. I will make more videos about Anchor v2 with all the new features and how we can write our own extensions and whatever. But as a first look at it, I'm happy with what we did today. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye bye.